I want to move on to the Jets real quick. Jeff, moving on to the Jets here with the 11th.
We have to?
Yeah. So,
I got no hatred of the Jets.
Yeah, but the Jets
actually closetly like the Jets.
Well, listen, the Jets have needs. They're stripped there in a lot of places. By far, the biggest place is wide receiver. We haven't seen one of the big wide receivers come off yet. I have a wide receiver going to the Jets. Mike has a wide receiver, a different one going to the Jets. Do you see a reason for them to go away from what is, I think, pretty obviously their biggest need here at wide receiver? What's your argument here? What do you think of their picks?
I don't see them any reason to go away from that. There's quite a few talented wide receivers available. It's a question of who they take, whether it's CeeDee Lamb or Justin Jefferson or Jerry Jeudy or Judy, I guess that's how you pronounce it, right?
That's right.
Yeah. I've been confused. That name's been driving me crazy all day. I totally think that's where they're going to go. If they don't, then that'd be a Jet move.
Yeah,
all right. So, and I actually misspoke. Mike and I both have CeeDee Lamb going here. It was actually the next pick that we disagreed on, but we both have CeeDee Lamb as the first wide receiver off the board. A lot of people have Jeff Judy as the first wide receiver off the board. So, Mike, can you just give us a little insight on what you think CeeDee Lamb brings to the table a little bit more than Jerry Jeudy? The pick is in, but we still have a couple of minutes. So what do you think about CeeDee Lamb versus Jerry Jeudy?
Yeah, I like CeeDee Lamb. I like his hands a little better. I like his length, arm length, ability to get contested catches. Again, the Alabama guys were not making a ton of contested catches because they were able to get really good separation. Now, that's not a knock, that they're getting separation. It's fantastic, but they just didn't have the ability to make some of the contested catches that I feel like CeeDee Lamb can make. And I just think he's a solid, well-rounded wide receiver that can stick around this league and be good. I feel like some of those guys, some of the other wide receivers in this draft might not be able to have the longevity. I know CeeDee Lamb had some injuries, so I'll hear about that. But yeah, I think he's just an incredibly well-rounded receiver.
I think he's a big upgrade from a Robbie Anderson skill set.
Absolutely.
That needs receiving options badly. They don't need specialized receiving options. They need just really great receiving options that can do it all. And I see CeeDee Lamb as that kind of a guy. Jeff, you agree with CeeDee Lamb? You see him receiver, Lamb.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens here. Obviously, Sam Darnold will be happy with that. But they do need other positions. There are other great players that are still out there.
The only other position is tackle that they need, which obviously every team could take a great offensive tackle and
sure.
still be fine. I mean,
sure.
An argument for everybody. Defensive line is a need as well. I think that they could definitely end up with a Javon Kinlaw.
Yeah.
Mekhi Becton is still there, and both those guys are very highly touted at both offensive line and defensive line. So it is a pretty interesting choice for the Jets. Another one of those, I don't know if the top wide receiver on the board is the best player still available, but it definitely feels probably their biggest need the most. And
that's a good question. It's hard to tell right now. Okay, the selection is being read right now. I got you. Let's see here. Makai Becton, offensive tackle, Louisville.
Yep. So
again, he is a big boy, and he's got really great feet too for a guy that big. He could really be one of those perennial all-pro sort of tackles.
Yeah.
Wait, that's got to be his dad.
Yeah, it's his dad. Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say.
But now you know where he gets it from.
Oh, his dad's huge.
He's like the trailer, Robert Trailer. You're gonna be grave digging there.
Right.
Yeah.
When I saw when they panned to his house, I just saw the back of this huge dude. I'm like, holy crap! And that was his dad.
Right.
They were 5'4", 5". No.
Yeah, I know, right?
But so for me, the Jets, though, I mean, listen, that's a pick that makes a lot of players better. It makes Sam Darnold better, makes Bell better, makes the offense better. But I don't know that it, really increases their chance of being a better team right now. They need a lot.
I think it's a great pick to build for the future. You've got Sam Darnold, young quarterback. Now you've got a potential 10-year offensive tackle that can protect his backside. Many stories throughout the NFL have that left tackle. You got to have the left tackle. If it isn't the quarterback and the left tackle, depending on whether you have a righty or a lefty as quarterback, is the most important or second most important position in the NFL, in my opinion.
Gotta have that backside
left tackle. So in this situation, taking him, that may be their best player on the board, and they're going with it. And you can't go wrong with that pick because, it's only going to open up lanes for running and passing, and hopefully they'll be able to get him on the field quickly because he is huge.
Yeah, and I'll be pretty shocked at this point they don't. Oh, sorry, I'll be pretty shocked if at this point they don't pick the best receiver available with their next pick.
And you might even see him trade up into the back end of that first round to take a wide receiver if they covet somebody enough. But to both of your point, I mean, think about it. Sam Darnold's happy with this pick. I'll tell you who else is happy.
Well, he's lean too. His dad is fat. He is lean as fuck.
Right. Well, I mean, think about this. This is one thing to keep in mind. This is one thing to keep in mind with Makai Becton. He's 6'7", 364, and he ran a sub-5 240. I mean, this dude is athletic. He can run. He can move. He's got good footwork, and he is a giant human being. So he's gonna be good for that team. I think that it's gonna work out for them. I think they're gonna really like that pick.
All right.
So the Raiders picked them. This is another team that I had going wide receiver. There's a huge need for them. They tried to fill with Antonio Brown, didn't work out. They need a wide receiver. I had them going with Jerry Jeudy because I thought that was the second best wide receiver that was going to be available.
Yeah, this is Jerry Jeudy right here. This is absolutely 100% Jerry Jeudy. And I'll tell you, that pick came in so fast, they probably had that in 5 minutes ago.
John Gruden sent a Pony Express like 30 hours ago to pick Jerry Jeudy. That's how old school his offense is. So,
you know what? I'm going to throw out the conspiracy theory. I'm really, really beginning to think this has been all set up.
Right. Yeah.
Beforehand. No trades. No trades.
If with the 26th pick, the Miami Dolphins land on the moon, and that's what we see, I'll know that it was completely all set up. They'll have messed up their transmissions, and we'll see that happen. No. Yeah, come on. Let's go out with the Raiders. Mayock. Come on, we know Gruden's making the pick.
Mel Kiper Jr. is so glad that Mike Mayock is not working in NFL Network.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. I'm kind of looking at it right now. I don't even really see anybody else that may want to trade up to get anybody.
No, not right now.
I mean, everybody else could probably stay where they are and get the player they want.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But like I said, I think it's going to be a very, very kind of by the books, kind of draft. There's going to be things here and there, but,
All right, here we go.
Moves.
Here we go.
Not a trade so far.
Here comes Roger Goodell to read this pick. I don't know what I have my TV is on mute, so I can't actually hear what he's saying. I'm just watching him read the pick, but
official draft selection by the Los Angeles.
Henry Ruggs.
Oh,
wow. Who?
Henry Ruggs.
Alabama.
Alabama. Yeah, I got it.
This Raiders select Henry Ruggs,
man,
wide receiver, Alabama.
Yeah, so I was going like most people later in the first round. Some people had him, not even going in the first round, going second round. This is a speedster. This is a small speedster. This guy ran a 4.2 something. That was the big, one of the big stories of the combine, right? So I mean, sub 4.3. That's a huge story for the combine. I thought they were going to go with the more possession receiver, the solid guy, the rock guy, not the home run guy. I'm pretty shocked with John Gruden here going for that pick. Jeff, I mean, what do you think about Gruden going for the flashy home run guy instead of the solid?
It's the Raider pick. It's the Raider pick.
Yeah,
It's typically something that the Raiders they go with the flash. They go with the sparkling diamond, the guy who's the fastest guy on the field. That's why they picked up Antonio Brown in the offseason last year, because he was the best wide receiver. So obviously he's not the best ranked wide receiver on the board, but if 4.27, they want the blazing speed. They're an organization that is heavy on the tangibles, the statistics. So I'm not surprised that they went this route. I mean, initially I was surprised, but looking at the Raiders' history, absolutely not. They're going to go. They want to get that home run guy, like the Tyreek Hill, right?
Right.
So,
That's
Mike,
right.
you had them going, your last projection with Clavon Chason, an edge rusher, linebacker type of guy. And why do you think they went with offense instead of going with a defensive need?
I would assume that they're trying to do anything they can to get Derek Carr to take the next step. I mean, that's the only thing I can come up with. And, you have Josh Jacobs. He had a nice season last year. So you feel pretty good at running back. And I guess that they're trying to give Derek Carr every conceivable opportunity to take the next step. I'm not a huge fan of picks like this. He reminds me a lot of a guy like John Ross, somebody like that who's incredibly fast and can run by guys, which I know you can get away with a little bit more. I think one of the things that gets lost in translation, we compare these guys now to Tyreek Hill. Thing is, Tyreek Hill, even as small as he is, can still make contested catches.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy's still a good receiver. I just don't know that these guys are on his level.
Yeah. You're hoping for Tyreek Hill, but you're probably getting Tavon Austin.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's probably what's going to happen.
Right.
It might not be. You might get Tyreek Hill, but you're probably getting Tavon Austin. So,
yeah. And with a lot of my picks, I was trying to guess what they were going to do. Not necessarily what I would do. But again, that's, everybody has their own viewpoint and their own outlook. That's what makes us great.
Yeah. So we got the San Francisco 49ers on the clock, 4 minutes left. Jeff, San Francisco, they have some needs. Wide receiver, they let Emmanuel Sanders go. They don't need any more people at running back, hopefully, for fantasy football owners. Nobody else should be in that backfield. So what do you see San Francisco going for here? What do you think their needs are? And, with some of the high-end players that didn't get picked early, do you think they just go for best available like a Tristan Wirfs right now? Or what are you thinking for San Fran?
I'm thinking they go wide receiver as well. I mean, we've got all these great wide receivers still available. CeeDee Lamb and Jerry Jeudy, obviously he's the top wide receiver on the board. They one step away from winning a Super Bowl.
Yep.
They have all the pieces on defense right now. They've got a great offensive line that protects well, opens up holes. I think that another outside weapon will definitely give Garoppolo more options to throw. And, I think that they'd be silly to pass up on this kind of talent.
Yeah. I mean, I see that, actually Mike actually had Jerry Jeudy going to the Niners in his very last projection. I had him going with Andrew Thomas, an offensive lineman. Most of the big linemen have already kind of, gone. If they were going to go with a lineman still, trying to figure out who they'd have to go with here. I guess it would be Tristan Wirfs, which could definitely happen.
Yeah, that would be the only guy that I would see. But I see, and not to jump picks, but I see Wirfs probably falling to Tampa Bay and going there because Tom Brady's going to need.
Yeah, that would be a home run pick for Tampa Bay.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I had Mekhi Becton going to Tampa. I definitely had them going offensive lineman in the first round, so that would kind of fit with what I was looking for, overall. So we'll see with the Niners. They're taking their time. There's 2 minutes left. The pick isn't in yet, so I think they're thinking about it. I don't think they're entertaining offers, though. I don't think there's offers.
If they're waiting this long, though, Jim, they could be taking, and they could be seeing what people will offer to jump up and take somebody that they really need.
Take who?
Trade alert. There it is.
That's what I'm saying. It's a trade.
Oh,
the Bucks. The Bucks jumped up.
there you go.
Yeah, that's what I was just saying.
Wait, they're moving up one spot?
Yeah, I don't get it. They must really want that Wirfs guy.
Yeah, to protect
Tom
Brady. Yeah.
They want the offensive line. It's got to be offensive line.
Unless it's Javon
It's funny, we
Kinlaw.
were talking about this before it happened, too.
Unless it's Javon Kinlaw to fill the void left by Gerald McCoy.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
That could be the case, too. But right now, it's showing Tampa Bay still has 2 picks. I don't know. We have to find out what they traded, because now
it could be a different pick.
Tampa Bay has 13 and 14.
What did they trade?
Pick. Yeah, I don't know.
The Buccaneers have the 13th and the 14th pick. So he was on there. Hold on, I can rewind this and tell you what they traded. Hold on.
Well, let me find out that they picked up both those picks, and they're going to take Tristan Wirfs and Cesar Ruiz back to back.
Center and tackle.
Hold on.
A center guard and a tackle. Okay, now it's changed. Now it's changed. It's Tampa Bay at 13 and San Francisco at 14. So They did finally update the graphic there. So it must have just taken a minute to get it updated. Yeah. I think Tristan Wirfs is probably the guy here.
Bruce Arians
makes sense.
in his captain's chair with his Mac chilling. I don't like your chandelier, Bruce Arians. Work on it.
Nice.
It is Tampa though. Chilling on the back porch, Bruce Arians. I can't believe why receivers are falling. I had 7 receivers going in the first round.
Any information there?
Fall like.
Yeah. So Tristan Wirfs, I'd say Tristan Wirfs or Javon Kinlaw here. They both make sense.
Yeah.
I got to think offensive line.
Funny how we were just talking about that.
Yeah.
Were they that afraid San Francisco was going to take their guy?
I get that's the thing. I am never a fan of moving up just one pick. I don't get that. Yeah.
I mean, at this point,
Garoppolo, a Garoppolo Brady kind of a repay.
But you know what though? I just realized I just now thought about it. John Lynch has a lot of Tampa Bay ties.
Yeah. Good call. Very good call.
I didn't even think about that.
Well, and that plays into it too.
Yeah,
it 100% plays into it. Yeah,
of course he does. You don't think he knows who were the owners? The
Glazers.
Glazers. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know he knows them. He won a Super Bowl for him.
Absolutely.
Well, sure. Looking forward. Mike, you had Tampa Bay also taking an offensive lineman. You just had Andrew Thomas. He's gone, obviously. And I had Mickey Becton, and he's gone. Well, we both had them taking an offensive lineman. So if they move up here to get Tristan Wirfs, it wouldn't be that surprising. And then San Fran, who I had taking, let's see. I had him taking an offensive lineman, so that's more surprising for me. You had him taking a wide receiver, and that makes sense because there's still top wide receivers on the board. So, this trade makes a little more sense for the way you had it, coming through, where San Fran can still get a top wide receiver here, and Tampa Bay can get their offensive lineman. Here we go.
San Francisco 49ers have traded the 13th pick to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with the 13th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft.
Here we go.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers select
Tristan Wirfs. All right, So offensive lineman for the Bucs makes sense. Again, a lot of this is going to script. Teams that needed, certain things are getting them.
From the San Francisco point of view, there's no harm, no foul there. Because you trade back one pick, Tampa Bay gets their guy. You probably got maybe a little something late in the draft, an extra pick they had, something like that. and you're still going to get who you want.
It's still a conspiracy. This is a fake trade.
Yeah.
What is this crap?
Shenanigans on a one-pick trade. Come on. No,
right.
This is silly. No, I'm being silly, but yeah.
So they spot. So Tampa's gone. Now, we didn't get to talk about Tampa that much before, but I think we all thought offensive line was a kind of an obvious need for them. Wirfs seemed to be the best guy left on the board. A lot of people had him up as the maybe second best offensive lineman in the class, and he went to, I think, the number 4 offensive lineman. So I see why, Tampa moved up to get him. And, I don't know what they gave up for him yet. We'll have to decide if it was worth it then. But now we have San Fran. I thought, they were going offensive lineman. If they wanted to go offensive lineman, they would have just went with Wirfs, right?
Right.
So it doesn't seem to be the way to go. Best player available would probably be a wide receiver, Jerry Jeudy or CeeDee Lamb. And wide receiver definitely a need, so it makes sense.
Sure. I mean, you lost Emmanuel Sanders to New Orleans, so you have a need there. I think CeeDee Lamb is going to be the better of the possession receivers. Not to say he can't take the top off the defense, but I think he's a better possession guy than Jerry Jeudy. That's just, again, that's my opinion. But I think either one of them for San Francisco is a good pick. I think again, Jerry Jeudy is a good receiver. CeeDee Lamb, I think, is a very good receiver. I think they'll be all right with either one. And again, you're San Francisco, you're drafting at 14. You're talking about a team that just was in the Super Bowl. So obviously you have a good, solid foundation there.
Yeah, I mean, they have options. They're a great team. They were, less than a quarter away from winning the Super Bowl. So to say a team that almost won the Super Bowl has a lot of needs is probably not correct. And I think wide receiver is one of the bigger ones. They did lose to Forrest Buckner, so they have, possibly some needs, on the front line of the defense. But I think wide receiver is the way to go, and I'll be pretty sure. I'm surprised it's taking this long, honestly. Especially after making the trade.
Of course, they were, intending on taking Tristan Wirfs.
I don't know. San Francisco, it surprises me that they're taking this long. I mean, to your point, even if you were a little bit on the fence with what you wanted to do and needed to,
you got 20 minutes to make your pick.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you made a trade. You must have known why you made the trade.
Conspiracy.
Man.
Yeah.
No, we'll see. So looking past the 49ers, though, want to see what we're looking at here.
We've got Denver, Atlanta.
Yeah, Denver, Atlanta, Dallas. Before we get to the
Miami
second
again.
pick.
And Miami will have their second of 3.
Yes. So, I see Denver, another team that needs a wide receiver, now has a chance to get either CeeDee Lamb or Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah.
I can't think they would have thought they had a chance at number 15 to get one of those guys before the draft started.
It's funny because all the mock drafts I've looked at, those guys were already gone.
Yeah, that's my point. There's no way. See, I had him taking T. Higgins because I like T. Higgins as a playmaker. I love his size. I love his ability to, win 50-50 balls. We'll see where he winds up going. I took a reach on him moving up to that spot for Denver because I really thought Denver wanted to go receiver, and I definitely thought that CeeDee Lamb and Jeudy would be gone, and I thought that he was a better prospect than Henry Ruggs was. So I'm still kind of surprised to see him there in that sense, and a lot of these receivers. I just think it makes sense for Denver to want to have a receiver. Atlanta, I don't think is in the market for a receiver, and Dallas doesn't make any sense either. They've both paid.
Atlanta needs to go defensive lineman bad.
Yeah, and they both paid number 1 receivers a lot of money, and they both have young number 2 receivers that are very good.
Defense. They've got offense out the wazoo, Atlanta. They've got plenty. They need to focus on the defense.
But for me, I think the big score here is for Denver. I think they get one of the top 2 receivers in the class. Was I never would have thought they would have at number 15. They're going to get either Lamb or Judy. And if they don't go for one of them, I'll be absolutely floored.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple other guys out there, but they're all probably late first round, early second round. Brandon Ayuk from Arizona State, Laviska Shenault from Colorado. I mean, these guys are intriguing prospects, but I don't think they're on the level of a Jerry Jeudy or a CeeDee Lamb.
No, Jalen Reagor, he's out there. I like him.
Yeah,
but
very good receiver. Again, Jalen Reagor is a very good receiver. I don't think he's quite on that level as the other 2 guys.
See, I picked a lot of guys. I mentioned earlier I had 7 receivers going in the first round. So that included Jalen Reagor to the Niners at the end of the first round, assuming, again, I thought they wouldn't have one available. They were going to go offensive line and get Reagor at the end of the first. I have Green Bay picking Michael Pittman at 30. I love his size for Aaron Rodgers, so we'll get to him a little bit later. But I have a lot of receivers going. I actually had Henry Ruggs going to the Vikings later in the first round. So we'll see if the Vikings wind up going for a receiver or not.
If Cesar Ruiz from Michigan, the center guard, is on the clock when Green Bay picks and they take a wide receiver in the first round, I hope Aaron Rodgers tweets his retirement.
Yeah. All right.
The homer.
Pick is in for the Niners, Jets. So for the Niners, Jeff, not Jets. We'll see. Oh, CeeDee Lamb? Is that him?
Yeah, I bet it's him.
Yeah, it's the best receiver on the board. I was saying it, Who is this here? It's going to be Jerry Jeudy? Yep. All right. So I think a lot of people think it's between these 2 guys. It makes sense for San Fran, especially if it's already in. The fix is already in. So the NFL knows who to put on. So let's see. Jerry Jeudy, your couch is too close to the pool table. You're going to hit the table. You're going to hit the couch if you got to shoot from that side, man. Come on.
Laughing. John Lynch.
Yeah, there he is. Listen, look, Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch got to be one of the youngest
dudes. Look on television.
Daughters are on IG. Oh, my God, John Lynch. What's going on here? You trapped
great children out there like.
All right, let's see here. Wide receiver's got to be the pick. It's going to be Jeudy or Lamb.
Let's see. I'll tell you.
Lamb, what do you think? Jeudy or Lamb? I go Lamb.
I go Jeudy.
All right.
CeeDee Lamb.
All right, there you go.
Kinlaw.
Oh, no, you went backward there.
Oh!
It went Kinlaw.
Wow.
That's funny.
Well, look, I mean,
so much for that. Hey, it's a great pick.
Absolutely.
I see a team that's
he was rated a lot higher than 15th on most draft boards. I mean, he was rated top 10 in most people's overall.
Best player over team need.
Yeah.
Well, and listen, they have a nasty defensive line, got even nastier with more rotation. I mean, why mess with a formula that's working, right?
And like I said, they lost to Forrest Buckner. I mentioned that. So that Buckner
they must have faith in the wide receivers they already have on the roster, too.
Right. That's right.
What did Indy pay Buckner? I mean, it was like a first-round pick, and then they gave him like $90 million or some crap. I mean, so if they just replaced him, hey, man, good on you. It's more money to spend elsewhere.
Some dude just dropped out of the picture.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's a good
look, I've said this 5 times already. It's only pick 15, but they have to go receiver, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so, right?
Yeah, we keep saying it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not quite sure. I mean, what are Denver's team needs? I mean,
quarterback.
Well, yeah. I mean,
that's why I think Elway is going to hitch his wagon to Locke and try to give him all the weapons he can, and that's why I had him locked up for a wide receiver.
That doesn't bode well for the future of Denver.
I don't think. I don't know. Not for fantasy, because Noah Fant, Cortland Sutton, both Melvin Gordon and Philip Lindsay, there is a lot of talent on the offensive side. I don't think they're a very good team. They're not.
Need to take note of the fantasy implications in real NFL. These analysts who get the.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this team needs a wide receiver, but that only hurts Courtland Sutton and Noah Fant. The better wide receiver they get right now, takes away productivity from those guys. It increases non-existent value.
And they may be happy with, because they drafted a couple wide receivers last year, Deshaun Hamilton. Actually, that was 2 years ago. So they may, again, that may be a team that's happy with what they have. They probably could use a corner. So maybe they're going to look towards somebody like Christian Fulton from LSU.
Well, they lost Harris, right? They lost Chris Harris.
Yeah. And maybe Trayvon Diggs from Alabama. They'll look that way.
Yeah.
AJ Terrell is another guy, but as a corner. But the thing about AJ Terrell, our last memory of him is getting absolutely abused in the championship game by LSU and their wide receivers. So not a good look for him as the last time you're going to see him in college leading up to the draft. So could go that direction too.
Yeah. Well, for what it's worth, we both had them taking playmaking type wide receivers. You had him taking Henry Ruggs going the speed route. I had him taking T. Higgins going with the size route. But we both had him taking, kind of that game-breaking, big play kind of guy on the offensive side. So I don't think they're happy all of a sudden Deshaun Hamilton as a 1-2.
The only reason that I wouldn't go T. Higgins. Well, I don't think T. Higgins is a first-round receiver. A lot of people like him. They're with you. They think he's a first-round guy. The only reason I wouldn't go with him is that you're stacking up two receivers that have very similar skill sets.
Yeah. No, I see what you're saying there. I definitely thought about that. I thought more receivers would be off the board by now.
Oh, yeah. No, I hear you.
So I thought that would be like the number 4 receiver off the board,
right?
Not for 2 or 1 or whatever it's going to be for 2 right now,
Yeah. It's surprising.
You're just upset because you were wrong.
Finally, I mean, listen, what? Something about a clock and twice a day, right?
No. Yeah, right.
A blind squirrel.
Yeah. I think that there may be a lot of teams out there, because we talked about this, and I know a lot of people had said it. It's a very deep wide receiver draft.
Yeah.
There are a lot of good receivers. Maybe a situation where these teams are looking at it saying, there's not a run on receivers right now, and even if there was, I can get my guy in the 2nd round or 3rd round I feel comfortable with.
Yes.
So they're just kind of seeing what's happening right now.
See, that's funny because I read it the wrong way. That's why I had so many going in the first round. I thought once they started going,
they keep going.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't want to lose out on a playmaking wide receiver.
Right.
And
that's the way it always works. They had the run on tackles.
Yeah.
Instead of wide receivers, and when that happens, it's the same thing happens in our fantasy drafts. I'm in some home leagues where we're you and I, all of us are of the philosophy that we wait to draft quarterbacks, but that philosophy goes out the window when you got people taking 2 quarterbacks early.
There you go. Jerry Jeudy, wide receiver, Alabama to the Broncos.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm going to pass up on, all right, a great wide receiver prospect. So we just talked about, the Denver pick for a long time. So I want to lead it into Atlanta before I step away for a second.
ATL, baby, ATL. Oh, let's talk about the new uniforms.
No. No, I mean, they're all right.
I like them, though.
There wasn't enough of a change. I mean, I think, if you want to do new uniforms for me, it should be a giant change.
You're going to change black, white, and red. There's really nothing to change.
Well, there's more to change than that bullshit. I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean,
you don't like new uniforms?
I like them. I like the old ones. I think there's no difference to me. When I look next year on the field, I will see zero difference.
That's because you're blind.
Well, maybe. I'm getting old. That could be it. But I'm not going to notice the difference. I swear to God, I'm not going to notice the difference in those uniforms. There's some other ugly ones I'll notice.
Well, they're not ugly, right?
Some of them are. No, they're not. That's what I'm saying.
They're just kind of plain.
I like last year.
ATL.
I like them, and I like them this year. All right, but I don't care. I rather like their pick, and Mike and I both picked defensive players. I actually had.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mentioned that before we got that far. It's Atlanta, absolutely.
As Clavon Chason, linebacker, edge rusher.
Yep.
For them.
Yep.
And Mike picked Patrick McQueen, like a fucking movie star.
No, and Chason fills the need. They fills that need.
Desperate edge rusher need. Now, it's not as desperate because they got Dante Fowler, and I think it's a better replacement for Vic Beasley. Not maybe the ceiling of Vic Beasley, but nowhere near the floor of Vic Beasley, right?
Plus, you need somebody to coach the young guy. You can't go run him out there into a double team every game as a rookie. He'll just get disgruntled.
So if we all agree that they're probably going to go with an impact defensive rusher, edge rusher kind of a guy, then do either of you have an argument or think there's someone else that it's worth it for them to get right now that's not that guy, just because they fell so far or because they're still available? I mean, freaking CeeDee Lamb is still there. You got Julio Jones.
They take another wide receiver.
CeeDee Lamb lined up wide.
They take another wide receiver, you're gonna have a riot.
Yeah, I don't see him going receiver. I will say this. I think that you're right. They may be looking at going Clavon Chason. I think he's a bust. He reminds me incredibly of Vic Beasley and Aaron Curry, neither one of which panned out at the NFL level. Atlanta fans should be all too familiar to them right now.
I thought about Gross Matos here, but I also thought that could be the same with him.
Gross Matos actually can play the run. He's a bit better rounded than Clavon Chason. He's also a little bigger than Clavon Chason. I also think that the other issue that you have with Chason out of LSU, he went missing entirely too often in games. And when you have a guy that is supposed to be a top 20 pick at a position of need, especially if you're the Falcons, haven't been able to get after the quarterback for so long, you have got to hit a home run on this pick. You cannot whiff on this pick. I don't think he's the guy, but it would not surprise me if they take him. Take a look at some of the guys that the Falcons have taken out of LSU. They've taken a lot of players out of that school very recently. So it wouldn't surprise me if it's him. I do think it's a bad pick, though, if they take him.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Jeff, you got any idea? What do you think Atlanta should go with here? Obviously, you agree with defense because we all know they need defense.
Well, as I was saying, I think Chason was the guy. I just thought that he brought enough to the edge or enough to the defensive line that they desperately need. That's what they've been missing for years. The sack category has been one of the lowest stats for Atlanta since Dan Quinn took over as head coach. Mike Smith, the previous coach, ran a pretty tough defense, and they were able to get after the quarterback. And with the exception of maybe his first year, 2016, Atlanta's defense just does not. He didn't bring the Seattle defense with him. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, well, the pick is in here, but I do want to ask. So I think defense is the right way to go. I do think that an edge rusher is probably the best, course. But they have lost Desmond Trufant. Keanu Neal's had 2 season-ending injuries basically in back-to-back years.
That's the way to cover for a corner is to rush the quarterback so he doesn't throw.
Yeah. Well, all right. I mean, that's fine, but you still need people that can cover.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, right?
I'm just saying, so, I think that going with the best cornerback available or the best safety available isn't the worst thing Atlanta could do here.
But
because they got Dante Fowler.
They've tried this philosophy now for 3 seasons, and the corners are great corners but when the offensive line and the quarterback can break down the coverage by having time to throw, by blocking,
right?
You're going to
you can only cover for so long.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean
that's why.
I mean, you can, if you have guys that are getting after the quarterback, those corners only have to cover for max 3.5 seconds.
Exactly.
If you don't have anybody getting after the quarterback, these guys got to cover for 5. That's totally different.
Yes.
Yeah, and we all know that's when certain quarterbacks, that's where they live, in those broken.
Maybe Trufant was not the best quarterback for that type of, scheme. He brought the cover 3 scheme from Seattle with him, and in Seattle they have the defensive line to get at the quarterback,
Absolutely.
as well as having the secondary to cover, which made them highly effective.
And right here on Mel Kiper, I'm watching on ESPN here. Mel Kiper's, second best player available. They have a safety, Xavier McKinney for Alabama, another Alabama guy.
He is awesome. McKinney is awesome.
That could be a good pick for them, a defensive player that could make an impact. Is my point.
I think that, like I said, we watch Atlanta every year. We live here in Atlanta, and year after year, that sack category, it really can change the defense, the entire momentum of a game by getting a sack, forced fumble recovery for the touchdown. There's the grand slam, as we like to call it in IDP fantasy.
Are you guys watching?
That is just, to me, more of a game changer than getting a strong defensive
cover corner.
Yeah, fair enough. So I'm watching the coverage here. Arthur Blank is there in the middle with someone with a weird chin strap, and then the whitest kid ever on earth. Unless it's my screen.
The chin strap with beard.
Okay, yeah. He's got a chin strap on one side and albino on the other side. And I don't like the whole draft setup. I don't like that war.
Oh, AJ Terrell, corner out of Clemson.
See,
that
so
is a bad pick.
That is a bad pick, but
this goes to the philosophy of Dan Quinn. He likes to play coverage.
Yeah.
He doesn't want those quarterbacks to get sacked.
Now I had AJ Terrell going in the first round, but the last pick to the Chiefs.
Yeah.
That's quite a while from now, and I don't see him on Mike's first round selection.
He's on a couple here.
So,
yeah, the reason he's
I would
not
have
on
taken
my
McKinney over him.
the reason he's not on my first round is because in that championship game against LSU, and those receivers are all going to end up in the NFL. But Justin Jefferson absolutely torched him for 4 quarters, and he's going to be a starter in the NFL. I don't know that he'll be a superstar. And that's a problem because you're wanting him to be your number 1 corner to match up against guys like Michael Thomas. He is going to kill that young man in coverage.
Michael Thomas is going to eat him.
Yeah.
Right.
So let's move forward. I'm going to step away for a second here, but we're going to move forward because Dallas has the next pick.
I'm going to step right back. I got to take a break for 30 seconds.
Yeah, you're good. So, Mike, both of the guys that we had selected for Dallas are gone. You had C.J. Henderson, cornerback, went to the Jags at number 9. I had Davon Kinlaw. I thought was going to fall a little bit further.
Right.
Went pretty high, but we both had him going defense. Makes sense. They got receivers. They got a running back. Quarterback should be all right. So, I see offensive. I see Cesar Ruiz. You keep mentioning this guy. Travis Frederick retired. I see that as the outside the box kind of pick for them. But we both were looking defensively. So looking at the guys that are kind of left right now, and, I'm seeing Kenneth Murray from Oklahoma still out there. Clavon Chason is out there. Trayvon Diggs. So do you still think they go defense? And what are you thinking here?
Yeah, I mean, Clavon Chason makes sense because it's Jerry Jones. I'm not saying that's a good pick, but it makes sense for a guy like Jerry Jones to take that sort of flashy player. I think they'd be better off going with somebody like Jeff Gladney, maybe, or if you want to go on the defensive line, maybe Ross Blaylock from TCU. So there's guys out there. I like Kenneth Murray. I just wonder. I feel like he needs to put on a little size. But think about it. that linebacking core is pretty good. And that could be like the third part of that linebacking core to really take it to the next level. You've got Jalen Smith, you've got Leighton Vander Esch. I know Sean Lee is back, but Sean Lee can't stay healthy. So maybe they think Kenneth Murray is that guy. But we'll see here. This should be a bit of an interesting pick. Of course, he could go with a giant space eater like Lecky Fotu out of Utah. I mean, that he's huge. He's 335 pounds. So we'll see. Yeah, and Mike McCarthy, he's an offensive guy. So that's another thing to keep in mind. I mean, you have CeeDee Lamb hanging around out there. I know they have Amari Cooper, but you never know with a guy like Jerry Jones. But Cesar Ruiz, to me, would be the smart pick. You want to fill that offensive line spot with what's just been vacated, would be the smart pick to get him. And I think he's going to be a really solid pro for a long time. But we'll see. Jerry Jones, you just never know.
Okay, so
who do you got here, Jeff?
Let me check my list here. Well, he's going to probably take the Kason kid, I think.
Yeah, that's what I was saying too. Doesn't it seem like a Jerry Jones pick?
It does. It does. He loves LSU as well.
Yeah, he does.
He does. He's taken a number of players from LSU.
Okay, so the pick is in. So we probably have about another minute or so until they read the pick. Obviously, if you're watching on TV, they're showing CeeDee Lamb in his home right now. I think that.
Well, that could be another pick too. Oh, look at his girlfriend.
Yeah,
look at his girlfriend.
Yeah, I mean, Mike McCarthy wouldn't surprise me to take a wide receiver.
So unhappy right now. This guy here, Boyfriend's about to get millions of dollars. This chick is just sitting there going. That is hilarious.
Yeah.
That is hilarious.
Well, we're going to see if Mike McCarthy can actually coach. That's one thing. If it was hinged on Aaron Rodgers or if he can actually coach, we're going to find out. So.
Oh, no, he can actually coach.
I agree. I tend to agree. I like Mike McCarthy. I'm kind of sad it fell apart the way that it did. But this actually may be a good home for him.
I thought so. I thought that was a great move for them to hire him. He's not a yes man.
Right.
He'll give Jerry. He's not Bill Parcells, but he's up there, right? He's gonna give Jerry Jones some pushback. He's not gonna let him badmouth him in the media like he did. Fucking.
Yeah. Jason Garrett.
Jason Garrett. Sorry.
Yeah.
So.
Well, again, it's if you're a Dallas fan, you should understand at this point that Jerry Jones has been your problem.
Well, yeah.
I mean, that's really it. Here's the selection.
New owner, please.
Yep, there you go. CeeDee Lamb to Dallas.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, it makes sense. I mean, you put a guy, you have Dak Prescott, you have Zeke, and you put a guy opposite of Amari Cooper that you feel like can be a game breaker.
Yeah, they got Cooper as well.
Yeah. So it's a pretty solid pick. And I mean, think about it. They didn't even have to move. They did.
Did Brian play at Oklahoma State?
Yes, he did. Yeah, but CeeDee Lamb went to Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, they don't have to move. They don't have to do anything. They don't have to give up picks, and they get a one of the best receivers in the draft.
Yeah, there's his chick just sitting there.
Really bothering you.
Man, I just, you think you'd at least put a smile on your face. You know you're going to be on national television, right?
You would think so, yeah. Yeah, he's a real it's really hard to put my finger on it with CeeDee Lamb sometimes. I think the best way I can explain it, I never saw that guy take a big hit in college. He's one of those kind of slippery guys.
Yeah,
he doesn't.
He's the Big 12. What do you expect?
Well, fair enough. But guys don't seem to get a good run at him and a good shot on him. So
That's just the nature of their offense in the league they play in, you know.
Well, I think that tackling has gotten worse across college football, but
yeah, everybody's afraid of getting hurt.
Right.
Concussions are a big thorn in the side of football right now. In fact, you know, it's going to affect the future of the game.
Yeah. And I know we've been talking about that for a couple years now.
Yes, we have.
It's something that can't be overlooked anymore. Everybody's aware of what's happening. So Miami's back on the clock. We got about just 10 seconds under 6 minutes left for them to make a pick. What did you have upcoming here for Miami?
Well, shit, they can go with the offensive tackle route now. Austin Jackson, perhaps.
You got a pick yet?
CeeDee Lamb went to Dallas, Jim.
What?
Yep.
Joshua Jones is still on the board, too, for tackle.
Yep.
CeeDee Lamb, man.
He's on the board here.
Receiver. They're going to be stacked for Dak. I mean, that's huge for Dak.
Yeah, go ahead and tell us what you think of that.
I think that, Dak was already going to be a surprise top 5 quarterback, even though he was number 2 last year. I think most people are going to have him outside the top 5 going into next season, closer to like the 7, 8, 9 range. And I think this, for me, just solidifies him being in the top 5. He's going to be probably my number 4 quarterback going into the next season in my draft rankings. Yeah. That's where I think he's going to wind up being right now. And this, for me, solidifies that. It does hurt Michael Gallup a little bit, in my opinion.
4.
Yeah.
Number 4.
4. Yeah, I think he will be right around number 4.
The live stream.
Hey, man, I'm just saying. He was number 2 last year. I think he'll be up there. He's going to have a monstrous amount of yards. He'll score. He'll be up there for fantasy for sure. And I think this makes Dallas a better team in the short run. They need to score more points. I don't know. They still should have went with defense. They should have went with a rusher, I'm pretty sure. They had to replace.
We were talking about the before you left. I think you were there at the end there, talking about taking
Clavon Chase on, or yeah. So they didn't. So Miami's back up. So we're back around. Finally back to Miami's second pick. They went with Tua. We know they have needs, but at this point, skilled position players other than running back.
They have so many picks. They can afford not to take the best player available.
Yes.
And even then, maybe the best player available will fall to them, and a few more picks, and they got another pick in, the 26?
Yep, not far from now. And both Mike and I had them going with DeAndre Swift at that pick at 26. But at 18, Mike had him going with Tua, which obviously they went with him at 5, which is where I had him going. Mike, you had him going with Jedrick Wills, an offensive lineman, at 5. So do you think they might still go that direction, and who's still out there that fits that offensive lineman, top guy? I'm trying to look through here and see if there's any, kind of top guy for the first round still left. Slim pick.
I'd like to say yes, that they would go with an offensive tackle here. The more I think about it, though, I doubt that they're getting out of this first round with 3 picks with a defensive head coach without taking a defensive player. Yeah. A.J. Epinesa is still on the board. He's one of the better defensive ends in the draft. He's definitely a top 15 talent. He's a very solid player out of Iowa. So it wouldn't surprise me if you see A.J. Epinesa come off the board here.
So I had them going with Xavier McKinney, the safety. I think, with Minka Fitzpatrick gone, I think that's a need they need to fill. I think he might be the best player, on the board, for the defensive backfield. So I thought it really kind of made sense for them. That's where I had them going. So I did have them going defense also. But I had them going with the safety position, another Alabama guy who, again, it could be just, the complete overwhelming, talent they have, and teams playing from behind all the time, from look that good, but he seemed to pass the eye test for me. I like the way McKinney looked as both a pass defender as well as a run stopper from the safety position. So he seemed to me to be a very complete safety prospect, and I thought it made a lot of sense for Miami with Fitzpatrick gone.
All right.
So, pick is in, Dolphins, pick is in. So, probably a minute or two, at least until we get the actual pick here. But the pick is in. And I can't imagine, there's any trades. It's hard to imagine more trades in the first round at this point. There's a lot of talent still out there. People can fill their needs. I just don't see a lot of movement happening at this point. We had one trade, and they went one spot.
Yeah, not much action there as far as a trade. So the pick is in. They haven't gone up to the, quote unquote, gone up to the podium with the pick yet.
Here it comes.
Yeah, but I mean, it makes sense. I mean, Brian Flores, I'm sure he feels comfortable with a lot of the players that he has there. You see Chris Greer as the general manager too. It would be surprising if a defensive coach with 3 picks in the first round lets his GM not give him something on the defensive side of the ball.
Got 2 picks in the second round too. Good
right.
Pick.
Yeah.
Right. So, and that's,
it was 14 overall.
Yeah, 14 overall.
Yeah. Here you go. They're talking about that trade where the Steelers got Fitzpatrick, so they're talking about that as a need. And I think that is kind of the obvious need is that safety position. I think Fitzpatrick was let go for being a malcontent, not for being a bust by any means.
Right.
So I think they want to replace that position.
So question. Do we know the salary cap situation for the Dolphins?
They had like the second most amount of money to spend when the preseason started.
Oh, there you go. Austin Jackson, offensive tackle.
Yeah.
So there you go. So, Mike, you were right. They did wind up going with offensive tackle and Tua with their first 2 picks, just, swapped around, and not the same offensive lineman, obviously, but they got Tua and an offensive lineman in their first 2 picks.
Right.
Austin Jackson was a little bit lower on a lot of people's boards, wasn't in the top 25, 30 for a lot of people, and this could be seen as a reach for a lot of people. But that offensive lineman still available.
Right. And this is what you're going to have, right? We were talking about a couple minutes ago, Jeff, you hit on it, right? The run on offensive tackles. And this is what happens. When you get a run on offensive tackles, somebody's going to end up wanting to fill that need, but not being able to get the talent where their pick is, and they have to take the guy, or they feel like they have to take the guy, and they force the pick. That might be what this is. I understand the idea, though. They're almost kind of using a John Dorsey, Cleveland Browns sort of idea. You get your quarterback, you get your protection for him on the offensive line, and then that's why I think the last pick in that first round is going to be a running back.
Swift, yeah. Makes total sense. That's why I have Swift there also. I didn't have him with the offensive lineman, but I felt like, quarterback, running back with, the other offensive weapons they had already set up there made a lot of sense. And with the 2 second-round picks, offensive line could have been, addressed there at that point.
Sure.
So, pretty solid so far. For the first 2 picks for Miami, they got a quarterback. We'll see if it works out with Tua, but got a quarterback that they can say is the next guy. So it buys them a couple of years not to worry about a quarterback at least. And they got another piece to build on. So we got Vegas coming back up. Their second pick. So they were number 12? And at number 12, trying to remember who they did not go with the wide receiver I thought they were going to go. Did they go with Ruggs?
Yeah, no, they went with the burner.
Yeah, they got Henry Ruggs at the 12th pick out of Alabama. Yeah. So,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear it. I cut out. I didn't hear that.
Yeah, it hiccups every once in a while. It's hard to hear sometimes.
No, so I was surprised. I mean, I thought they were going to go wide receiver. I had them going with Judy. Judy was still there. Lamb was still there. They went with Ruggs. So now they're back on the clock. There's still some needs there, but they showed a lot of promise on the edge last year. They drafted Cleveland Farrell early. Didn't have a great rookie season, but, was pretty good. But Max Crosby was the big surprise with 10-plus sacks drafted in the 4th round. So if Crosby's the real deal and Ferrell gets better, you got to think they have a pretty solid, pass rushing attack there. They already, went with wide receiver. Josh Jacobs is the running back of the future for them. Where do you see them going here? Do you see just another defensive playmaker, linebacker type of a guy? Mike, where do you think they're going here?
Yeah, I like Patrick Queen here from LSU. Strong linebacker, good tackler, good sound fundamentals, sideline to sideline guy. Fits. Pat Queen sounds like a Mayock and Gruden guy to me through and through.
Yeah.
I mean, he fits that mold, that sort of older style football player. I think that'd be a good pick for him, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully Jonathan Abraham comes back, solid, from his injury, in the second year from the safety position, but I think they're good there. And they have the pass rush. So, I like that mid-level linebacker position as a pick for them. Jeff, you see any reason for them to go away from that mid-level defensive player?
The defensive player I have them taking is A.J. Taro from Clemson. He's one of the better defensive backs available right on the board.
Well, Terrell's gone already.
Huh?
Terrell's gone already.
Oh, shit.
Yep.
I'm thinking.
I had him going at 32 to KC. He went a few picks ago. Trying to remember where he went.
Yeah, he went to the Atlanta Falcons at 17 or 16.
Oh, no shit. That's why I didn't remember, because I was like, oh, they're going to take somebody.
Yeah.
Yep. But there are still cornerbacks available. Trayvon Diggs is still out there.
Yeah.
He's a highly touted prospect, obviously. Christian Fulton out of LSU, another cornerback that a number of people had, rated in the top 20. Even though he's kind of, seems like he might be falling out right now. Some people had him, actually rated higher than C.J. Henderson going into the draft.
Whoa.
So, yeah.
Wow. Damon Arnett, cornerback out of Ohio State.
Cornerback.
That is a surprise pick.
Cornerback.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Jeff, you're right. They went with cornerback. They went with that position, but, he was not on my board for today at all on my, I wasn't even looking at him yet. But Ohio State was pretty well their defense.
Another burner.
Yeah, Damon Arnett's a good, solid corner. He, played on the other side of Jeff Okudah. So Jeff Okudah didn't throw at him a lot. So Damon Arnett would get picked on sometimes, but he stood up to that most of the time. I still think it's a bit of a reach for him. He's a little bit of a smaller corner. So it's very surprising to me to see him go in the top 20. But obviously there's something. Listen, it's Mike Mayock, right? There's something there that he likes, and he decided to go with it. So he can come up, he can play the run a little bit. So he's a nice player. Just seems like he might have went about 15 to 20 picks higher than he should.
Yeah, and it could be the kind of pick where you have 2 first-round picks, so you go that safety route. You feel like it's solid, not going for the big risk, big reward. You're more going for the the really good piece, that solid, very, very good piece that may not ever be great, but you might have on your team, Teddy Bruschi type guy for, a decade or so, something like that.
Right.
But yeah, pretty interesting pick for the Raiders there. I think a lot of people will be talking about that pick as a head scratcher until maybe he proves himself.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at a lot of boards, and this happens every year, right? Somebody's going to fall. Somebody's going to, fall in love with a guy or like a guy that other people really don't value. But, he's a good, solid player. Just seems like it might be a little high for him. And look, we might, they may know something that we don't. I mean, that's why they're in the positions that they're in. I mean, maybe there's something that they feel he's a scheme fit for them.
Yep.
That fits, with what they want to do. And they did. Who did they draft last year? They drafted a Clemson corner last year. He got injured, I want to say, halfway through the season. He had a concussion in one game. But they drafted him. He was actually having a pretty good season. So if you're the Raiders and you're looking at it, you might think that you got your 2 lockdown corners going forward.
Yeah. So, looking forward here to the next pick. The Jags pick is in. The second pick for the Jaguars in the first round. At number 9, they went with C.J. Henderson, cornerback. So, thinking about their next needs here and what we have. So, Mike, you actually selected Jeff Gladney, cornerback, for them at this pick, which again makes sense, except that they already picked a cornerback.
Right.
Not do a second one. Yeah, they did fill that need though, so they did need to fill that need. You got that right there. I've got Gross Matos here in that pick, and I think edge rusher with Josh Allen at linebacker, another edge rusher, losing Calais Campbell. Maybe they go for a bigger guy up front, but I think this makes sense for them. I think I might nail this one. Jeff, what do you think about Jacksonville's needs? Where they might go here with their second first-round pick?
I'm agreeing with you for the most part because of their needs, going with the linebacker at this moment in time. Looking at Jacksonville as a whole, it's tough for them to really make any plays in the AFC South unless they improve their defense. With the addition of Philip Rivers in Indianapolis, we have obviously the Houston Texans being as good as they are. They're going to have to upgrade on the defense, and this is a position where this is a place where the need is the defense, not just their personal need, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, makes sense for me. They already went to the backside. They got, their backside, C.J. Henderson, and now they're going to go up front. They already have, a decent up front, but they've also lost a lot of pieces in the last couple of years. And we also don't know if Yannick Ngakoue is going to come back and be on their roster right now. There's a lot of drama right now with his contract situation. He might not be back, and he's one of the most valuable, kind of rusher, containment players in the league right now. So it just makes sense for them. Clavon Chason is still out there.
Yep.
I think he's a big wild card for this pick right here. But I do think that front 7 piece is pretty obvious for Jacksonville in this pick. But you never know. There's been talk about them trading Fournette. So not that I'm saying that they would get a running back right now, but they might look to shore up other pieces, offensive line, if they're going to bring another running back. So.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard the rumors about Fournette. I've heard rumors about Ngakoue too, about him being upset and wanting to move on. I think one of the things that we can all take away from
upset, he wants out.
Oh yeah, and I'm saying I think one thing that we can all take away from what you guys both just said, this is a franchise in total disarray right now.
Yes.
So I mean, they've I think to your point, Jeff, they've got to do something on defense, but shit, it might not matter if you keep losing guys.
We know it's not going to matter. I mean, this is sort of. I mean, they've got 2 picks in the first round, great, but I just don't see any pick they make changing their outcome in 2020 as being 6 and 10.
I guess here, if you're a Jacksonville supporter and you're the truther on Jacksonville, what you're saying is, Minshew showed moxie, right? That's probably the best word regarding Minshew, right? Good moxie. If you're a WWF fan, he showed testicular fortitude in playing, right? Last year. And, he showed some good things, showed some bad things, showed some bad, tendencies, but he was a rookie. So if you're a truther for Jacksonville, you're saying, all right, he's going to take a step forward. Let's assume that. Leonard Fournette caught, for me, for a very choppy, blocky, not very good pass catcher, caught something like 75, 77 receptions last year.
Yeah, that was out of the norm.
Yeah, oddly number for him to catch.
That was because of Minshew.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Chark also was very productive. Marquise Lee is gone, but Westbrook is still there. So if I'm a Jacksonville truther and I'm saying you make the defense better, which hopefully you already did with C.J. Henderson, you get an edge rusher right now, and then in the second round you grab the best wide receiver still available, which right now is still going to be maybe a top 5 or 6 receiver in this draft class, which is really awesome because this draft class was super deep. I had 7 going in the first round. So if they can get, one of those guys in the second round, I'll feel like they had a big win and kind of came out of this draft killing it with a top flight cornerback, a edge rusher, and then, a top 6 or 7 receiver.
Oh, there you go.
Classes. All right.
Clavon Chason, outside linebacker, LSU.
Edge rusher, linebacker. There we go.
Yeah.
And that was the pick.
Yeah. Again, I'm not a fan of this guy. I don't see it working out at the NFL level. So I saw him just go missing entirely too often. And
he takes plays off.
Yeah, he just, that motor is there sometimes, and then there's times in games where he just goes missing. I mean, you don't even know he's on the field, and that's not a good thing. So, I'm not a huge fan. Again, very good college player.
3 languages.
Great. I mean, I'm not quite sure how that's going to help you get sacks, but
that's what he was quoted as saying. You want a guy who speaks 1 language, or you want a guy who speaks 3 languages? I speak 3.
Yeah.
Well, good for you, man. What are you trying to confuse people during your pass rush? Just get to the quarterback.
All right. So
gonna sling slurs in a foreign language.
You know what I'm saying? Come on,
let's move on to this next pick here. We got Philadelphia 21 here. Obvious pick for a lot of people as a wide receiver. I mean, huge need. Injuries absolutely ravished that, wide receiver core last year. They wound up with no-namers. Aguilar's number 1, and still trying to remember the guy he was one of the most sought-after wide receivers for about 2 weeks of fantasy football. Greg Evans or something like that. But they need a wide receiver badly. So there's other good players.
Jefferson.
So, yeah, all right. So here's the thing. Mike and I both had them going wide receiver with their pick. I had Justin Jefferson, Jeff. Thank you very much. Wide receiver from LSU. That's why I have a 21. Now, I'm not going to call this a homer pick, but as KJ Hamler from Penn State as the pick here.
Well, that is a homer pick. They ain't going to take him.
So I'm going to let Mike tell us why KJ Hamler should be a first-round wide receiver and a pick of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, he's just a game breaker. He lined up on the outside and in the slot on both sides at Penn State. Unfortunately, he wasn't featured enough because of their quarterback play a lot of times at Penn State, and you had a lot of running backs that were coming through there. So he didn't get the ball as much as he probably should have, but he has a good catch radius, and he definitely has top-end speed, so he can take the top off the defense. Pretty good on contested catches in close, tight quarters. Yeah. And then the Eagles like Penn State players. They've taken a lot of Penn State players. The only issue I see with the fit there is that at the NFL level, KJ Hamler, I do believe, is a slot guy. Yeah. Whereas with the depleted issue at Philly, it looks like you need a number 1 guy.
Well, yeah, and I don't want to be that guy, but, you brought up catch radius, and it must be comparative because he's 5'9" on his height, 5'9".
Yeah, and don't small. Yeah, and don't let that fool you. I'm not saying he's going to go up and jump over a guy that's 6'5" and make a contested catch. What I am saying is he ran a lot of slant routes and skinny posts and things like that where he was in a contested catch area and was able to come down with that ball. So, he's 5'9". I get it. I said the same thing. Listen, when he got to Penn State, he was smaller. When he got to Penn State, he was smaller than when he left, obviously. When he got there, I thought, I don't even know if this guy's going to see the field. He plays a lot bigger than what he is.
Well, that's good. I mean, some guys do. Honestly, that's just the truth. Some guys do play bigger than they are. They just come up big. And if he's a slot guy, and he's got the skills, then he'd be uber valuable. I don't know if it's, first
and
round.
A lot of that too. I mean, you guys can call it a homer pick, and a lot of that's true. A lot of it too is just throwing curveballs out there. I mean, because you just never know what some of these teams are going to do.
Well, it's giving you crap because literally it says Penn State behind your head. So I'm just saying he's not like on anybody's top 50. So I'm just trying to find out, what's going on here.
Yeah.
Mike always comes up with some random stuff.
Right. Listen, he had 13 catches when it was snowing outside and the barometric pressure was under 4. So,
yeah, exactly. That's not Michael come up with that.
Oh, geez.
So Philly, they lost. They're this whole defensive backfield though. They had this backfield of terror that started years ago with all that money spent that never panned out.
You're right.
Malcolm Jenkins is still kind of playing its way out, and they're bad in a lot of places. Philadelphia is a team that has played well under their talent level for years.
Agreed.
So it's just what's going on there. I don't know if it's Wentz alone. I don't know if it's Peterson.
Well, they're just 2 years removed from the Super Bowl.
But they had to have their backup QB winning for them, and then they had to ship him off to keep their healthy quarterback happy.
Wentz did play well that year.
Yeah.
He did. He was MVP candidate before he got injured.
Yeah, like 32 touchdowns, like 7 interceptions, something like that. Was playing great. But that was still his best season. And then 2 years later, he still hasn't been close to that in quality. Part of that is the absolute loss of weapons on the outside. Here we go. Let's get a weapon on the outside. Justin Jefferson, let's go.
He's ready to pick here.
Oh, Jalen Reagor, TCU wide receiver.
Okay.
So no receiver.
Right.
We picked it. And I liked Reagor still in the first round, but I had him going later to San Fran.
They weren't even showing this guy on TV.
Yeah, he's a good receiver.
He's got an Eagles hat.
And he's out of shape. No.
Yeah, he's a good receiver. And honestly, to your point, Jim, it really wouldn't have surprised me if they would have went with somebody like Christian Fulton there, Trayvon Diggs, somebody like that they felt really comfortable with. But again, take a look at that. I mean, obviously they felt comfortable with Jalen Reagor. I mean, they like his skill set to fit into their offense, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you got to figure that's what we're looking at, right? I mean, at this point, there's lots of options out there. There's wide receivers available. It's not only about top-level talent. It's about who's going to fit what we want to do for the next couple of years.
Yeah,
that's right.
If Reagor fits in there, then I'm fine with that. They needed a receiver. That's the point. My problem is they got Arcega-Whiteside last year, and this seems like a kind of a carbon copy of Arcega-Whiteside, kind of, and I don't see the top level here. But,
yeah, he's a lot faster than JJ Arcega-Whiteside. He's going to open up a lot more playmaking opportunities. Arcega-Whiteside is damn near a tight end, honestly, when it comes to speed and the way that he kind of plays. I mean, remember, he's coming from Stanford. Yeah. And so, Stanford's kind of known for those possession guys.
Hello.
Yeah. I mean, they very rarely, and when I say very rarely, I mean once or twice in their history had a Christian McCaffrey game breaker,
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So, interesting pick here. Minnesota coming up. Minnesota, we haven't talked about really at all. Not much in the offseason other than the fact that, Stephon Diggs left. Now, when I looked here, I saw, if I remember correctly, Mike, so not at this pick because they have 2 picks in the next 4 picks.
Right.
2, then they're number 25. So you had them going with Jalen Reagor, a wide receiver, the first pick, and then Trayvon Diggs, the brother of Stephon Diggs, at cornerback with the second pick. I'm trying to pull it up here. I had them going with cornerback Jeff Gladney, who's still available, with the first pick, and Henry Ruggs with the second, which he did not make it that long. But I had them with the burner to replace, Stephon Diggs. It seemed to make sense for me. So looking here, first, I wanted to say, I mean, I didn't bring it up before, but I just think with the way Stephon Diggs left Minnesota, I don't see them drafting Trayvon Diggs.
Yeah, his brother. Yeah.
Just in a general sense.
I was going to say.
Just because, you don't want to bring that drama in the house. You know what I mean?
Right.
I just don't see that happening. But I do like to pick up cornerback lost Xavier Rhodes, to salary cap, loss, and now they need a cornerback. So I like that pick. I had Gladney. There's other cornerbacks still out there. So I think that pick is still valid. And I think wide receiver is still valid. And T. Higgins could be a great pick for them. I think your guy from Penn State fits that kind of Stephon Diggs mold as a good route runner, but also can really burn. KJ Khaled?
KJ Hamler.
KJ Hamler, it's almost close. Kind of. Let's call it 65.
We're messing up all kinds of names like Brandon Knight.
I'm gonna give it 65. Looking at it. So I'm doing from memory. So
no, it could be Christian Fulton here too, at corner.
Yeah, linebacker
out of LSU.
Right?
It could be. Yeah. Or they may just go with the Justin Jefferson now that he's way down.
Well, that's another one too, and a lot of people really like Justin Jefferson. I know he was a really high. If I remember correctly, he was the number one wide receiver coming out of high school when LSU got him. So he's got a pedigree of being sort of one of those top level players. But we'll see. Yeah, I think that corner wide receiver makes sense for Minnesota. The only other thing I could see him doing is maybe Cesar Ruiz at guard. But I
thought he was center.
What's that?
I thought he was center guard.
Center guard. Yeah.
We'll see where he makes sense when he gets there. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but they've got some. Let me put it to you like this: Minnesota's got some options because there are so many areas of need right now. Yeah. I know that sounds funny for a team that was kind of in the mix like they were, but they've got some areas of need they need to fill.
They do. I mean, I don't think they're on the offensive skill side. Obviously, Dalvin Cook's got it on lockdown. What I do like is the wide receiver to go across from Thielen. Right, Thielen is not, that kind of receiver you need.
He's the possession guy. He needs the burn.
Yes,
exactly.
Thielen needs that compliment more than a lot of other receivers do to make him more effective and the other more effective. I think Irv Smith will take a big jump this year, tight end in year 2. So I think that's going to be kind of one of the underrated things. I think I'll have Irv Smith in the top 15 for my tight ends. Which is not hard to, make the top 15.
Right.
Big, but like top 5 is one thing, and then 8 through 15 is like a whole nother block.
A massive drop off.
Yeah, monstrous. Yeah, but I think Irv Smith is primed to be right in that conversation as a streamable guy. So I think they're going to go mid-level defender, linebacker, defensive back. Pick is in. We're going to see what happens here. Pizza Hut, don't tempt me. God.
I know, right? Every time I see it come on, I'm like, I want that. Well, okay, so we've got Minnesota, then you've got New England, New Orleans, and then the Vikings again. So, it's interesting. It's always interesting when those teams have those picks so close together like that.
Yep.
Because I get the feeling that their second pick, when they're that close together, hinges on the pick right after them. If they think that group is going to take their guy, they're not waiting. They're going to try to move up that 1 or 2 spots to try to sneak in there and get them. Because, moving one spot, you're not going to normally have to give up anything.
Yep. So you had receiver, then corner, and I have corner, then receiver.
Okay.
So we both have them picking a corner and a receiver in the first round. We switched them out, and we have different people. But we both have, the same needs being met, the same picks being made as far as position goes. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here. The pick's in. Let's go, man.
Yeah.
Jim?
Yeah, they're taking their sweet old time on this one. Jeff, what do you have here for the Vikings?
I was having the wide receiver Justin Jefferson. That was just my opinion.
Yeah.
It probably won't go that route.
Let me ask Jeff. So even if it's not Jefferson here, they have 2 picks, like we said, in the next 4 picks, right?
Well, if they don't get him in now, he may fall to him at the next pick. So
that's what I'm saying. So what do you think? Like we both had wide receiver corner as the 2 picks, no matter which way it went.
But
Jeff
you obviously right. Jeff is right. Justin Jefferson, wide receiver LSU.
Very nice call.
Yeah, I mean,
Jefferson.
It fits. Fills a need. Listen, they just lost a guy that's very similar to Justin Jefferson. I mean, Stephon Diggs and Justin Jefferson are pretty similar.
That's, they want to replace that guy and Stephon Diggs, and trust me, the offense is.
So
Patriots trade pick to the Los Angeles Chargers.
Oh no! Wow.
They always
the Chargers.
They always trade out of the first round. The Patriots always do this.
All right. Well, let's before we digest this, I want to finish up with the Vikings here. So, Mike, you had Justin Jefferson going to the Baltimore Ravens later in the first round, and I had Jefferson going a pick earlier. So both pretty close, where Jefferson went in the 20s to a team that needed a receiver.
Right.
And then we'll see where Minnesota goes with their next pick.